Hello, this is Adam, and I'm co-fronting with Max today. And I want to talk to you guys about living with the DID diagnosis. What does it feel like living with the dissociative identity disorder diagnosis? Now, living with DID can be very complicated type of mental condition. It's very complicated. The reason why it's complicated because it's just not just you that lives in the body. In our case, we have 31 authors, and so there's 31 of us that live in this particular body that share this particular brain. And so it can be very complicated when you live with 31 other people that may have their own different opinions, their own different ideas, different political views, different food preferences and stuff like that. It can be very challenging when you have dissociative identity disorder. Very, very challenging. And so when you have a DID diagnosis, we actually got our diagnosis, first of all, in the 90s when it was called multiple personality disorder, or MPD. And so we got that from a forensic psychologist when we were applying for Social Security. And so we was on Social Security for a little while, and we actually got that diagnosis. Well, I was not expecting that diagnosis. That's just something that particular psychologist thought that we may have had developed. And I was like around 12 or 13 when they gave us that type of diagnosis. I didn't know what it was. My mom didn't know what it was. And so I basically ignored it and thought it was stupid. So, but at least I was able to get on Social Security for a while. And of course, the reason why I got off of it because I didn't want to renew it because I became a Christian. And so as a Christian, it was kind of like, saying I want the government's money, which is kind of the evil thing. The church I was in was very fundamental. And so I kind of rejected the government's money, you can say. And I kind of rejected that diagnosis because it was like evil to have other people in your head. So I went to different Deliverance Ministries to cast the devil out of me. And guess what? The devil didn't leave. The altars don't leave. Altars don't leave when you pray over someone. They don't leave. They stay. Altars stay. And it actually did more damage to my system because I thought I had demons when it was really, in reality, altars. And so that was very, very damaging to our system. And so now, what does it feel like living with DID, or dissociative identity disorder? And what does it feel like to be diagnosed with the disorder? We recently got diagnosed again under the new definition, which is now called DID, or dissociative identity disorder. And we got diagnosed by our new psychologist that we are working with here in Portland, Oregon. And so she diagnosed our system about 2 or 3 weeks ago with DID. Now you may say, what is DID? DID is when you have the presence of 2 or more distinct personality states. And DID is usually formed out of childhood trauma. And so, and our childhood was very chaotic, very, very chaotic. And so I'm not getting into the details of the trauma because I don't want to trigger myself or trigger any other altar. But just say that it's severe trauma that you face as a child in order for your brain to make different consciousness, you can say, to deal with the issue or deal with the problem. And so when you're diagnosed with DID, sometimes some psychologists may give you a questionnaire, which is called Dissociation Questionnaire, about how much you dissociate. You may tell them that you don't remember going to certain places, or you don't remember buying such and such. There's different questions they may ask you to see how much you dissociate in any given day or any given time. And so we went to different tests of dissociation about how and how many times we dissociate by the per day, or it was just a test basically. And so just with the intake with the test and talking to the therapist, they were able to make a determination that we do in fact have dissociative identity disorder. And the same thing happened when it was on the MPD when we did that. And so do you need to get a diagnosis if you have or you suspect that you may have dissociative identity disorder? I would say it's up to you. Getting a diagnosis can be very difficult sometimes. It can be very hard, even expensive, because therapy is not free. And so it can take some time. It takes some patience to get fully diagnosed with having dissociative identity disorder. But having the diagnosis, does it change your life? No, it doesn't really change your life as much because you still will deal with the same things. But it makes it more real, if I can use that term, because you got another professional that's outside of you saying there's something seriously wrong with your brain. They're not. I want to say they say it like that, but it's basically saying that you are neurodivergent. You don't your brain doesn't function the same way as other people's brains do. And so it is actually comforting to have a diagnosis because you know what's going on and not thinking you're crazy. That there's other there's a reason why your brain does what it does. There's reason why there's dissociation. There's reason why there's memory loss. There's reason why you can be a completely different person just by any given switch. You can switch into any different type of alter, you can say, that's in your system just by a trigger. And so having a diagnosis really helps you it really helps you understand what's going on. It really helps you figure out how your brain is functioning. But not having a diagnosis does not mean you're not real or valid either. I believe that self-diagnosis is very valid as well, because not everyone can go to a therapist, not everyone can afford a therapist. And so self-diagnosis is very valid too as well. And most of the time you suspect you have something before you even go to a professional in the first place. And so if you suspect that you may have something and you go to a professional, they may well confirm your suspicions that you may have DID or dissociative identity disorder. But basically, yes, having a DID disorder is very, very complicated. It makes jobs really, really, really difficult. Imagine explaining that to your boss. Oh yeah, by the way, I have 39 or 31 other alters that can pop in and out anytime they want. Do you want to hire me? You know, it's kind of like that. But I don't really say it like that because that'd be kind of intense. But you know what I mean. Well, anyway, this is Adam from the Anderson System. And I thank all our new subscribers to our channel. And yeah, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.